So at the, thank you. So at this time, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Michelle Lloyd. Dr. Lloyd is a transition success coach with Lloyd Learning Labs in Sugar Land, Texas. She delivers high energy keynote presentations that challenge audiences to leverage their focus and implement strategies they can apply prior to and during their teen's transition out of the home. She mentors with passion and guides with strength while developing and encouraging others towards becoming their next best selves. Having to deal with her own parental emotions as well as her children's transition from home to college and beyond, Dr. Lloyd has inspired towards in-depth research and a long life commitment to helping others pursue their teens for their essential passage from dependence to interdependence. Her proven strategies equip families with the tools to launch their teens into successful adulthood. Parents and attendees, you are in for an evening of valuable information. So get your paper and your pens ready and jot down some notes during this presentation. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Michelle Lloyd.
Thank you so much for that awesome introduction, Mrs. Taylor. And I really appreciate all of you for being here this evening. Who am I now? Have I created my own parent posse? Oh my goodness, what does that mean to parent at a distance? What does transition day anxiety even look like? How will I manage that emptiness and this loud silence that's coming from that room where my teen once resided? Is my teen even ready? Listen, these are the questions that parents have asked me time after time. Parents from Australia, parents from Canada, parents from here in the States, and just yesterday, a parent from Lagos, Nigeria. And honestly speaking, these are the questions I asked myself. When my oldest of 3 daughters transitioned out of the house in 2016, we drove her 17 hours to the East Coast to Virginia Tech and then drove back. And when I arrived back here in Sugar Land, Texas, I asked myself, what in the world have we just done? I found myself laying on my prayer closet floor. Was I crying? Absolutely not. Was I weeping? I was wailing, thinking just that. What have we just done? We know no one in Blacksburg, Virginia. And so fast forward to 2022. Just last year, my 2 of 3 oldest daughters, they graduated college. Of course, my oldest now is a systems engineer with Lockheed Martin. And my second one, she takes her MCAT in 2 months because she wants to be a plastic surgeon. So just like I survived successfully, unscathed, I know that you can do it as well. So let me share this. What I'd like to do for the short time that we'll be together, and I can already tell that I can probably talk to you all for hours and hours and hours, but what I'd like to do for this short period of time is I'd like to share with you those 5 indicators that needs to be satisfied prior to your teen hitting the college campus. And if your teens have already transitioned off, these are some tips that, of course, you can share with your friends. So and I will also want to do this as well. I think we'll have just a little time with this. As I focus on these 5 indicators, you know, my background is emotional intelligence, and that's what I wrote my dissertation on. I'd like to sprinkle just a little bit of a few tips and a few gems as it pertains to how we can go about teaching our teens that soft skill of emotional intelligence. And so who all share with me just by the hands there electronically, who has even heard of the term emotional intelligence? Share with me by a show of hands. Who has heard of emotional intelligence? Okay. Awesome. So I see a number of you have even heard the term, and I'm excited about that. So you know just as well as I know that emotional intelligence is that ability to identify and assess your emotions and the emotions of others. And then you're able to take that information and you're able to critique it and use it as a guide moving forward with whoever it is you're interacting with. So for our teens, as we're able to teach them this soft skill, then once they land on the college campus, they'll be able to interact with their profs, their academic advisors, there's other students, and then other people whom they're going to come in contact with. So let's just go ahead and jump in. The first indicator that your teen has yet to be ready for college, if they have not embraced this, is they will want to tighten up their time management skills. So let's be honest. So our teens, like right now, they go to school, their day is already planned. They go to class, then there's lunch midday, they go to class after lunch. After school, they may have some extracurricular activities, whether it's sports, whether it's the arts, regardless of what it is, it's already planned. My question to you, parents, for those who still have teens in the home or those who have already transitioned out, it's still not too late to practice these strategies, is to sit down with them and support their creation of their schedule. Because are they right now including all of the necessary tips? First and foremost, the homework, the due dates, the extra credit assignments, any upcoming or writing essays and those due dates. What about those exam dates? The school dances, holidays, holiday parties, celebrations. For those of you who have juniors at the home, their SAT and ACT, because that will be forthcoming, of course, next year, etc. Also, for those who have juniors, the college applications, of course, making sure those are in time, vacations. All of those critical components need to be put, of course, on that schedule. It could also be, if you have a senior in the home, purchasing a car for them to take off to the college campus, if that's a part of the plans. That will need to be included as well. So this is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid them landing on the college campus and there being an inability to structure that schedule according to their syllabus regarding those responsibilities that need to be satisfied. The last thing we want also is to have lifelong procrastinators. So as they are doing this, even some parents, they sit down, especially those empty nesters, and they're creating their schedule because their life will change as well. And they will have all of this extra time. So they'll need to plug in those activities, of course, that they'll want to fulfill with that time. So share with me this and drop it in the chat, please. What time management skill is your teen using right now? Or if your teen has already transitioned out, then what are you using? Are you using that day planner? Or are you using that block calendaring? Are you using the Google Calendar? And you know what? I even use ClickUp. ClickUp is a project management system, if you will. Whereas if my or others I know were working on a project, then I receive alerts. If they're finished with their portion of the project, then that way I can go ahead and jump in on mine. So drop in the chat, what time management system are you using? And if I'm going to drop just a little bit of emotional intelligence perspective around this, and you're wanting to teach your teen, thank you so much. I'm seeing a planner, awesome. We want to set for our teens, setting measurable goals, whether big or small, and then being willing and prepared to celebrate those. So I'm seeing planner, awesome, awesome. And if that is what's working for you, continue to work with that. Awesome, fantastic. Listen, the second indicator that our teen has yet to be ready, of course, for the college campus, and I'm thankful that on that last slide it said the routine. You know, we can create routines all day long until we are pink and green in the face, but if we are unable to respect that routine, then that's a whole nother issue in itself. So let's go on to, of course, furthering their financial literacy skill. And I'm sure that your teens, just as mine have, heard about budget all throughout. They've heard about budget. But let me ask you this. Are your teens able to make snap judgment financial literacy decisions, if you will? And I say that because it's so interesting. There's been some studies done, and a study was done by EverFi. And this company did the study, and there were a number of teens that they focused on. And the teens, after they submitted this survey back, about 40% of students who were attending four-year universities had ever attended a personal literacy course. About 45% who were attending school at a two-year university had attended a personal financial literacy course. So this is letting me know that there is work for us parents to do. So if we're needing to reach out to our financial advisors to gather information, to sit down and talk with our teens, if we're needing to gather information from our banks, who we've been a part of for years and years and years, then we need to grab at the information that we need. It's also interesting that the National Financial Capability Group did a study in 2018 where they were gathering data on financial stress and anxiety. And the age group that experienced the most financial stress and anxiety was between the ages of 18 and 24. So I encourage you, I implore you, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, to please, let's begin to educate our teens, our sons and our daughters who are teens. And let me share this before Amer clicks that link right there on the slide that says, Hit the Road Financial Adventure. And then what I'll do is I'll open it up to see if there are any questions at all, or if you'll drop it in the chat if there are any questions. This Hit the Road Financial Adventure, and I'm hoping that she'll also a little later drop that link in the chat. I was able to sit down with my youngest daughter. My oldest is 24, my next daughter, my middle daughter is 21, and my third daughter, of course, is a freshman in high school. And her and I sat down, and we, of course, participated in this Hit the Road Financial Adventure, because I know it's going to teach her to make snap judgment decisions. When we go through this link, there will be roles that we can play. Whether maybe I was a nurse and she was a photographer. So we were in a car, systemically, of course, and we were going on a journey. I think we went to Chicago. We may have gone over on the East Coast. We came back down to Georgia, and then we went over on the West Coast. And we started off with $500. And so as this journey progressed, of course, we know, you know, and I know that we need to spend money. And so, of course, there was this electronic bank account. And so as we had to spend money on gas, as we had to, of course, purchase a tire for the car, all of those different types of things, it would extract from the $500 that we started off with. And then there was an opportunity for us to make money too. So we could wash cars or do all of these different roles. So then our bank account would increase. And so I was able to just allow her to guide the ship. And so we were able to, of course, go on this journey, and she would make decisions regarding what she thought we needed to do. That was enlightening to me, because I was able to see the types of choices she made. Other than the fact that she wanted to stop for food every few minutes, she was able to make awesome decisions, and I was so very proud of her. So if you will, Amer, let's just click that for just a bit. Click that link, and let's just see what this looks like, just in case the parents have any questions at all. This is the Hit the Road Financial Adventure, and it should be coming up in just a bit. We'll see. And as she's working with that, then I will just continue. And then when it comes back up, let me see. Okay. And if you'll center that and then hit the arrow, just so we can identify. And thank you so very much. And she has also put it in the chat as well. Thank you very much. She's going to center that. And then if you'll press start, that way we can, and then we'll just click right through it, just so they can have an idea of what they can do to work with their sons and their daughters in reference to them being able to make snap judgment decisions again. All right, we'll click next. Welcome to Hit the Road. Thank you. And yes. Okay, and it's just talking about the route. We'll continue to click through, please. Next. Next, and usually there's some music that goes through this as well. And again, you can choose the role of a gardener. Let's click next again and see if it'll let us kind of see some of the other roles, and then continue through handyman. Okay, and then it starts to tell us about the cash. And if there are grandparents on the line, of course, this is something that you can work through with your grandchild, but you're able to see also from an emotional intelligence perspective how your son or daughter thinks, so that you can add to their thinking, or you can help to tweak their thinking as it pertains to finances. Okay, Amer, we'll just click OK just a couple of times, just so they can get a good feel regarding what, okay. And so there's that $500 checking balance. And then of course, it allows you to select a destination, and then let's hit the road one more time, and then we will allow the parents just to get another peek at another slide. Okay, and then we're on our way. So if you will please copy and paste, maybe, I think she did put it in the chat, just copy and paste just a little bit, just for future use, for you to work with that as it pertains to your teen, son or daughter, or of course your grandchildren. So I would like to open up the line, or better yet, if you will drop a question in the chat, that would be awesome. What questions do you have about this Hit the Road financial literacy exercise? But it's phenomenal. And then we can go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Amer, thank you. Someone just mentioned if there are any malls. I appreciate your transparency. If there are any academy or any sports outfits out there, then of course mine are in trouble as well. So I appreciate your transparency. Any other questions at all? And this just speaks to, of course, under the umbrella of emotional intelligence, you're able to identify, of course, where your teen falls under self-awareness. Do they know themselves? Social awareness, how do they interact with other people? Self-management, are they able to, like the comment a moment ago, are they able to manage themselves, of course? And then also relationship management, that's powerful as well. So thank you so much again, Amer, and also for the comment that showed quite a bit of transparency. So, and tell me, drop in the chat, what, if you will, financial literacy or budgeting app are you using? Some people use Good Budget. Some people use Mint. That's a financial planning tool, if you will. Drop in the chat, what is it that you use? Anything at all? Okay, I can appreciate that. Oh, well, you know what? That's a very, very good question. You know, what I would do when that grocery list is created, I would already break up on the sheet, of course, good. I'm glad that a spreadsheet is used. And I would already section that spreadsheet out to have, of course, the vegetables and the fruits and the starches and the meats. I would already section it, and so for the candies or the snacks and all of that, that would be under miscellaneous, and I would probably want to keep that to a minimal, if you will, because what they're doing at home, of course, they will do that on the college campus, and sometimes tenfold, if you will. So if they're eating lots of snacks at home, they're going to eat a conglomerate of snacks on the college campus. That has been my experience. So we've tried to go the vegetable and the fruit route. So very, very good. Any other questions? I see another comment, PNC virtual wallet. That is awesome. Very, very good. Thank you very much. Any other comments at all? And maybe I'm missing some comments. Okay.
Dr. Lloyd.
Yes.
In the chat, they encourage their students to use Mint. Also, Dave Ramsey has a few tools available for a zero balance budget.
Awesome. And anytime there can be an opportunity to sit in, and I'm glad David Ramsey was mentioned, because anytime there's an opportunity to even sit in on the webinar, or maybe at a number of churches, they're offering that, that as an option, then that would be phenomenal. I know my daughter, my oldest daughter who graduated, there's a more advanced webinar that her and I are planning to sit in on. So thank you so much for mentioning that. Going on to the third indicator that your teen will want to embrace prior to hitting the college campus is to evaluate their emotional and psychological skills. So let me ask you this, because, or better yet, let me share this, because you're around your teen a lot, especially those whose teens have yet to transition off. And so you have noticed, because you've seen them in the setting with other teens. And so when we talk about that, evaluating their emotional and psychological skills, what do you observe when they're in meaningful dialogue with others? Are they waiting their turn to converse? Are they staying on topic? Are they understanding the personal feelings of others? Are they even getting along with others? Are they accepting the differences between themselves and those they are conversing with? Are they able to resolve conflicts? And are they showing empathy? These are the areas definitely under the umbrella of emotional intelligence as well that parents are working with their teens on. A remedy in order to make sure that these areas, if they need to be tweaked, some parents, they're watching a movie with their teen, and then after the movie or during the movie, they are bringing up one of the characters and asking their teen, it seemed like he was really angry in that situation. Tell me, what would you have done? Or some parents are reading books with their teens, and then they're discussing the characters there. In hopes of developing social skills. It could be that your youngest or your teen is shy and reserved. Whereas my third daughter, she has more of a reserved personality around adults. And I know that when she lands on the college campus, she'll need to interact more with people. So what we did is we chose a debate class. And so she's in that debate class right now. And not only is she learning research, and she's learning to talk with other people, and she's learning to debate both sides of a topic. She's able to understand the perspective of others. Her debate class is allowing her to understand feelings that are different than her own. She's able to practice conversational skills. She's able to listen intently, and she's able to wait her turn before speaking. Also, she's able to self-advocate. There are a number of things that can be done, parents. So think about that while observing. And you know what? Some of you who have not just teens, but even young adults or middle-aged adults, observe them and then think about ways that you're able to add to the demeanor, or help to tweak, or help to even to help navigate how they're able to even be their best selves in interacting with other people. So tell me this is what I'm interested in knowing. Drop down in the chat maybe what board games you may have used, or even what card games. Now, this is a nice game here. This is called 52 Essential Conversations. And this is a social emotional learning game. And if you drop this pic in the chat, Amer, then some parents may want to explore this a little bit more, but it helps us, of course, to work with our teens in reference to different types of situations that they may be facing. Our teen may be facing an embarrassing situation, and through conversations, they're able to be clear about how they can navigate their way through certain situations. It could be in a situation where they're unable to use their voice. And so parents are working with their teens in reference to helping them use their voice. So this is a practical way on which, of course, we can work with our teens. So 52 essential conversations. Any questions at all about that? Some parents, they're using, when it talks about evaluating their teens' emotional and psychological skills, they use board games, as I mentioned, card games. So, for instance, Monopoly or Life or Trouble, those types of games. So any questions at all about that? And then we're going to jump over to our next indicator. Anything in the chat at all? Okay, so listen, let's move on to our fourth one. And our fourth one is igniting their independent decision-making skills. So this is what I'd like us to just know. This is what I'd like us to, and we can even dive in and do research on this. Neuroscientists say that we make approximately 35,000 decisions a day. Everything from, should I hit that snooze button, to what does my desire, where am I desiring to go to college, or what time will I be going to bed? Any of those decisions, but we're making about 35 decisions a day. So can we just picture that being compounded as it pertains to our teens? They already have this whole college admissions process. They have things that are going on in this world, all of this compounded on their brain that has yet to be developed. Our brains aren't really fully developed or growing closer to fully development between the ages of 23 and 25. And so even when we think about that prefrontal lobe, which is where all of our decision making and all of our planning comes from, that has yet to be developed. And so if we're making 35,000 decisions a day, we could hardly even imagine what our teen is faced with. So listen, in the teaching world, we do what is called that I do, we do, and then you do. And so, and you know what, I even used, needed my mom's help, of course, as I was raising my daughters when they were younger, as it pertains to letting them do it. Do we want to see our teens in pain? Do we want to see them hurt? We will jump in at the drop of a dime, but all I want us to know is that, and many of you already know, that in order for them to grow, in order for them to mature, in order for them to make sure that they're able to make those decisions on the college campus, then we need to take, of course, 2 or 3 seats and allow them to move forward, making some decisions. Giving suggestions? Absolutely. Helping with options? Absolutely. But allowing them to make those decisions, I've been able to master that, and I'm super excited. So tell me this. I would like to know, because you know your teens or your grandchildren who are teens, which one of those 7 would you say they may get a little caught up, or they may hesitate? Is it identifying the problem and conflict? When it comes to decision making, is it gathering all their pros and cons? Would you say that that's an issue for them? Brainstorming possible solutions, analyzing the existing consequences, depending on whatever situation or whatever option they choose, actually making that decision. Sometimes teens, they can explore all of the different options, but actually taking action. There's a paralysis that goes on with many teens, and really, listen, let's be honest, many adults as well. So moving forward and taking action, or assessing that previous decision and then executing. Drop in the chat, where would you say there's hesitancy as it pertains to that making decisions? What would you say as it pertains to your teen or your grandchildren, if you will, who may be heading off to the college campus? And anything in the chat thus far? Taking action. Okay. Taking action. Anyone else? Taking action. Okay, so tell me this. So, and you and definitely unmute and come off of the mic. What do you think about taking action that causes that hesitancy?
Well, if I may speak,
Okay.
with my daughter is that she's real shy. And so, she may brainstorm and come up with ideas, and she may talk about it amongst her peer group or even with me. But when it comes to taking that step forward, to do, she's hesitant. And,
Okay.
it's like, well, I don't know. I don't want them to say no, and so, that's a little frustrating for me because I'm like, they can only say yes or no, or, so just go ahead and take action on whatever it is that you've been discussing. But she's real standoffish when it comes to taking action.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And what I have known a number of parents to do in a situation is they have allowed their teens, interesting enough, to engage in community service. And the engaging in that community service, that has allowed them in not necessarily in a threatening kind of way, but in a structured and even a relaxed environment, move on whatever that community service is. I don't know, feeding the homeless, maybe at maybe a soup kitchen or something along those lines. They're having to make decisions more, and they're leading in that group in reference to actually not only making the decisions but also taking action as well. So I have known that to work in some community service settings, if you will, whereas whether it's the teen or the adult, they're able to, not in a threatening way, but in a way whereas they're able to think through what needs to be done, and they're able to move on it. So a number of parents have mentioned that has worked. Thinking about also reflecting on past experiences, that could help. That could help as well. Pointing out what has been done in the past and how they've taken, of course, you've painted a scenario and they've taken action in times in the past. Of course, what some do is they have made sure also that they have embraced some strategies as far as there's something called this social skills board game. And playing that social skills board game has helped to and that's exactly what it's called, social skills board game. That has helped some teens and adults to be able to take a stand as they're moving forward and making decisions. The more we do anything, the better we become. And so that board game has helped there to be decision after decision after decision made. And so that can also help people to become a little bit more comfortable. Anything else in the chat?
Yes, Dr. Lloyd.
Okay.
It looks like procrastination and the unknown, as well as being placed in uncomfortable situations.
Okay. What I have done and what has been really interesting is with that whole procrastination piece, and many have gotten that from a speaker where you just count down 5, 4, 3, 2. Some people do it in getting up out of the bed in the morning because we want to hit that snooze button over and over and over again. So just counting in a situation like that, and then making sure that we have made up our mind that we are going to act. That whole idea of acting. I have, of course, created scenarios, of course, at the house, whereas my daughters, whether it's making pizza, any activity around the house, and then I have allowed them to make decisions while I stand back. And I may jump in from time to time if it seems like there may be a hesitancy in moving forward, and I will drop a couple of nuggets, and then they're able to move forward with it. So I would even think about creating scenarios but with you and the teen, or the teens all together, just them, and creating a project, if you will, creating an activity, creating an event. My ninth grader, she's now going in. I'm handing her the card. I'm sitting out in the car. I'm dropping her off at the grocery store, and she's going in to purchase the groceries. I give her the list. She goes in, she purchases the groceries, and she comes out. That helps with that. The more they do anything, the better they become. When it comes to my ninth grader's doctor's appointments, when it comes to her dentist appointments, she's making those appointments. Because I know that on the college campus, I may not always be available. I may not always pick up the phone, and I will need her to care for herself. So it could be a situation where, and we'll talk a little bit about this in seconds, in moments, is it could be a situation where you're hosting something at the house. Do I want to do all the planning? I will allow my daughters to create the list. I will allow them to send out the invitations. I will allow them to actually do the hosting. If there's something that needs to be changed in a room at the house, then I will allow them to shift the furniture. If we need to rehang some different pictures, I will allow them to so the more we step back, then the more they're able to do. I recognize that if I always do, then how am I going about building their confidence when they're on the campus and when they're making their own decisions? So I needed to even talk to myself and say, take 2 or 3 seats, because I'll tell you this, and then we'll see if there's another question or we'll move on. The moment I discontinued washing the clothes, and a majority of them were theirs, trust that they recognized when they had run out of undergarments or socks. And it was just miraculous how they knew how to use the washing machine. So it's all about, we want to do less so that they can do more. I hope that's helpful. Okay, so we will continue to move on. This is and we talked about this just a little bit already, and it is developing and demonstrating domestic maintenance skills. Now, and I just mentioned this with the washing of the clothes and all of that, is that when we discontinue doing it for them, then they will do it for themselves. And so it could mean the cooking one-on-one life skills. I mean, I mentioned grocery shopping for the week. Also, look, let's cleaning the kitchen, operating that dishwasher for a week, the coffee maker for a week. I see Miss Stacker shaking her head, no, that has yet to be done. It's just not happening. Okay, also those house management skills, paying the bills, sitting down with the chores around the house, replenishing supplies, of course. It also includes, of course, there could be some repairs that are needed, the laundry, and so also automobile competence skills. That's also, listen, I gave my daughters that AAA card when they were going off. And so them being able to jingle up AAA to make sure they were handling their matters and their affairs are essential. And so listen, I want to just share this one bonus. It was requested, and I want to make sure I cover this. For those of you who already have teens who have transitioned out of the home, listen, I want to confirm something for you. And then I want to give some ideas as it pertains to those empty nesting years. Listen, you are not alone in this struggle, if you will. You are not disillusioned when feeling lost. And guess what? This is practically a grieving period when they have transitioned out. This is a universal theme, and I know that it happens across different cultures, age groups, because I'm talking to mothers all over the place, and I'm uncertain, there could be some gentlemen on here, but I know for sure, mothers, that this can be an area of sensitivity for us. It's almost like, and gentlemen, it's almost like when our teens transition out of the home, men, it's like sometimes they tie their identity to their profession, their employment, their job. Us as mothers, we almost tie our identity to our children, to our teens. And so when they transition out, it's like a part of our heart has left out of the front door with them. And so listen, this is what I want us to do. For those who are experiencing those empty nesting years, listen, dedicate because we've dedicated our years. So because we're experiencing this loss of purpose almost in a sense, I want to encourage you, please, and me, after that high school freshman is gone, I will be, and I've already begun, reinventing myself. Okay. I have already created, and I would encourage you to do the same, create a parent posse. Those other like-minded mothers, think about what is it that you need for yourself, and then begin to even scroll through your cell phone and reach out to those other like-minded people and begin to gather those individuals whom you can receive support from and pour support onto them. Also, secondly, organize your schedule to expose activities you'll pursue. I mean, it could be, I don't know, I'm going to do more meditation and prayer. I'm going to become more active at the church. It could be, you know what, I'm going to increase my time at the gym. I'm going to take up a yoga class or something. I became a part of this running group that had become really, really fun and created some friendships. It could mean taking a class. It could mean, and that's what I did. But nonetheless, I did a deep dive into a doctoral program. And so that took some time, of course, and my daughters were at the library with me. It could be a book club, a knitting club, bridge club, I'm uncertain, reading at the library. It could be hiking or exploring some historical or popular place. I know that there are some there in St. Louis. Listen, my hubby and I, born and raised, me Hazelwood, him U City. And so listen, there are some historical places there. So it could be traveling with friends or your spouse, volunteering, all of those different types of things. Rearranging that house or condo or that low rise or high rise. And then, of course, this is what I want us to refrain from. So we're going to reinvent. And then guess what? Let's refrain from, as it pertains to these teens, over calling or over visiting them. Listen, we're right here. We're on the same page. Insisting that they do the same, and then prying way too much. Listen, it's a balancing act as it pertains to the questions we're asking them. And, the last thing we want them to do is just to close down on us. So let's balance those questions that we ask them and then balance and then value the time that they're spending with the other family and friends and avoid becoming envious or jealous and all of those things, because it seems like they have all of that time for the rest of the world. And it's like, okay, so here am I, here am I. So nonetheless, those, please reinvent and then refrain. And guess what? It is all going to work out, because guess what? They are doing exactly what we have raised them to do, and that's to become interdependent. The last thing I want to say is independent, because we'd regret them separating totally from us. So I say interdependent. So listen, I hope that you have absorbed the tips tossed and the gems dropped. And so I must mention this before I conclude, to please, over all of this, all of these tips, all of these gems, I'm asking you to sprinkle the secret sauce that I use, and that's prayer. Trust, believe, seek him. Now you all know that when you're trying to leave the house and you have yet to find your car keys or your wallet or your cell phone, you are turning the room upside down, trying to look for that, and you're seeking that car key, those car keys or that purse, or you're seeking where is it at? Listen, seek him, please. Jeremiah 29:13 says, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with your whole heart. And that's specifically what we did as we raised these daughters. Listen, I appreciate you all. I love you. I just thank you. I want to thank specifically, yes, Omicron Eta Omega, for having me. Of course, Mrs. Taylor. I want to thank Mrs. Butts. I want to thank Mrs. Cannon, Amer, for all the help you all have given. I am Dr. Michelle Lloyd, Transition Success Coach here in Sugar Land, Texas. And I appreciate y'all having me on today. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have notes over here. We want to do less so they can do more. Take 2 or 3 seats back. This hits home because that's something that I have to remind myself and tell myself, take 2 or 3 steps back. How will they learn if you continue to do things for them? You can do it for them the first time, but let them do it the next time. So thank you for those gems. Thank you. Let's see here. Miss Tracy, do we have any questions in the chat for Dr. Lloyd? We have a lot of thank yous. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know me and that mute button, but yes, there was a lot of thank you, and we always appreciate listening to you, Dr. Lloyd. Thank you so much for sharing your gems with us.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So at this time, we have a question for our parents. And okay, did everybody get or screenshot on Dr. Lloyd's information? And then we can stop sharing there. And she can drop it in the chat as well.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Thank you. Dr. Lloyd, I really have appreciated you this evening. I actually live in Cincinnati. I'm Kimberly Price, or Kimberly Price, who lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, who's now in Atlanta, Georgia for spring break. But I wanted to ask, what other things do you offer for parents to stay in contact, or just might need a little refresher on as we're going through this process? I have one who's coming out of college and one who's 14, like your youngest.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for asking that question. You know, I have a program. I have a 6-month program and I have a year-long program. And each month, with the cohort, I'm working with mothers as it pertains to all of these different life skills that their teen needs to know before they transition out of the home, and getting these teens up to speed. And you know what? Interesting enough, there are really like 100 or 150 life skills that they need to know. And I run into this all the time. You know, do our teens really even know how to do things like write a check? Do they know how to put the right amount of postage on a stamp? I mean, there's so many things that, of course, we know how to do. We take it for granted and think that our teens know how to do it. But this is what I work with mothers on. And then they turn around, in essence, and then they teach it to their teens. That, in addition to just the full scope of emotional intelligence, because you know, I believe, and I really know this for a fact, that you know, even when it comes to them interviewing and working, whether it's on the campus or after they've graduated, it's that soft skill that they need to know, whether it's self-management and relationship management. And that's why I tried to sprinkle this in this presentation, because they will land on with an employer and they may be the brightest there, but if they're unable to get along with people, they can be the first out of the door. And so we want to make sure that our teens have this, they're embracing this holistic approach as it pertains to every area of their life, whether it's physical, whether it's academic, whether it's spiritual, all of those different areas. And so that's what I help mothers to do. That's what I teach them. So to answer your question, so I have a couple of programs, a 6-month program, a year-long program, but then I also have a workshop that's going to be at the latter part. It's a 3-day complimentary workshop. It's going to be the last week of April, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, and that Thursday, where I'm going to be sharing additional gems, different ones for that 3-day complimentary workshop. And so thank you so much for asking. And then also the Facebook group, my private Facebook group, Emerging Mothers. I do weekly lives, whereas I'm just sharing information as well. And so there are already mothers already in there, and their teens are transitioning off. And these are mothers from all over the world. And so I've seen that they have valued the information. So thank you so much for that question. And that's what I'm doing to help. This is my life's calling, because I experienced it. And I told myself, I know there are other mothers who went through this, as their teen has transitioned out. And so I want to make sure that they are prepared. I want to make sure that they are fulfilling their position prior to their teen's transition. How's that? How's that? Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. So we have a question for you guys. So parents and attendees, what are the 5 indicators that were mentioned in Dr. Lloyd's talk? So those indicators that help you decide whether or not your teens are ready to transition out of the home. So drop it in the chat in order for a chance to win our first prize for the evening. What are those 5 indicators? I know you guys wrote them down. Who remembers those? I can't play. I already wrote everything down. Anyone want to try? No takers?
Yes.
All right, what do we have here? Time management. Yes. All right. Looks like we may have a winner here. Let's take a look here. Time management, financial literacy, emotional skills, decision-making skills, domestic skills. Does that sound like all 5, Dr. Lloyd? All right. Tamika Williams, congratulations.
Yay!
I will get with you regarding your prize. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so before we select winners for our next 2 prizes, I'm going to drop a survey in the chat that I would love for you guys to fill out. So one moment, I'll get that up and in the chat. And if you can just take a few moments and fill it out, make sure. Let's see here. Oops, nope. Let me get the actual link, guys. Sorry. One moment. All right, let's see. I'll give you guys a couple of moments to fill that out. Technology, if you want to play some jazz music real quick, and we'll give them a few moments to fill that out. If not, that's fine. Did anybody have a problem getting that link? Let me know.
I did launch and it did work for me, Mrs.
Okay,
Taylor.
great. Just give another minute for folks to fill that out for us. I appreciate it. I see the responses.
I'm currently driving right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm currently driving right now, but when I get to a place where I'm not driving, I can definitely fill it out if it's okay.
Not a problem. I will send the link out to you, Miss Erica. Anybody else need the link to fill out? If they're not able to fill it out right now, just let me know and I'll send you the link. And I am getting the wheel of names ready so I can spin the wheel for the other two prizes. I think I got all the attendees' names on my list here. And while we're waiting, those who have their cameras off, just give me a big smile so I can take a picture of you guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I am going to share my screen and I am going to spin the wheel here for our next two prizes. I believe I have everybody's name on here. 1 second. Can you see my wheel of names? Okay, do full screen. So I'm going to spin for two prizes for this evening. And our first winner tonight is Crystal. All right, and I'm going to spin one more time here. Kiara. All right. So I will be reaching out with your gift card. Let me stop sharing here. All right. And let's see here. Kiera, if you can drop your email address in the chat, just to make sure I have it. All right. So everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you found the information beneficial. At this time, as we bring this meeting to a close, our first Vice President, Ms. Carolyn Wilson, will provide closing remarks.
Hello, everyone. Hello again to some. Absolutely. I just simply echo everything that everyone else has already said. And that's just simply, thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Thank you for these gems and these tips. I'm reminiscing and thinking to when my daughters were transitioning to college. And I wish I'd had a lot of these tips, but they are helpful for me now as I serve as a mentor to a young lady. And so most phenomenal session. I'll definitely share with other people, and I'm sure I can speak for our guests as well to say this information has been a tremendous blessing, a tremendous resource. So thank you, Dr. Lloyd, and thank you to our guests for spending this evening with you. Our goal is to equip our community and to prepare our children for success. And Dr. Lloyd, you have helped us do that tonight. And again, I just simply say thank you to our guests. Thank you to the #CAP committee for your dedication to our young people. So with that being said, good evening.
Yes, have a good evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Lloyd.